Hey guys, this is Derek Duplessis, host of Purpose Rockstar. It's a podcast where we interview people who found purpose in their career in all kinds of fields. This interview is with Linda Mornell, founder of Summer Search. It's an awesome program I know a lot about because I was in it myself in 1997. And it really helps folks from low income backgrounds dramatically change the trajectory for their lives. And we talk about how she started this organization in middle age, right around 45. And now, 25 years later, it's an awesome organization with 7 sites across the country. It's really a touching story, get a little personal. So I think you'll enjoy this one.
It wasn't all peachy king and roses and berries and everything. Talk to us about sort of a moment of failure or of massive challenge in the process of developing this organization.
Well, I was pretty lucky in the beginning. I knew a lot about summer programs. I didn't know that much about fundraising. I didn't know anything about fundraising. And asking people for money was a pretty scary thought for me. Just by coincidence, the town we live in is Northern California on the coast and is well known for in the 60s and 70s as a counterculture community. And a neighbor of mine, she and her husband started an organic vegetable farm about a mile down the road, and they were out there. They lived in a caboose with no electricity, no running water. They had 2 kids out there farming, dirty. It was sort of an amazing time. I found out that she was a Rockefeller. She was Lawrence Rockefeller's daughter. And that she also had a family foundation and gave away money to, she was particularly interested in innovative ideas and starting new programs. So I asked her for the seed money to start Summer Search, which is the program I developed, and she said yes. So that wasn't a challenging moment. The thought of asking someone for money was hugely challenging, but I got to say it was really lucky that I met her, and she funded me for the next several years very, very generously. And I'm so proud that this program has become so successful and so big. And I like to tell her about it. She now lives in a house with electricity. But those were the beginnings.
Well, take us through sort of those panic tinged or fear tinged moments just before you had this conversation with her. What were you feeling, and how did you go about sort of overcoming any trepidation that you had?
Well, I guess one of your themes, Derek, is getting people to talk about how they love their work or how they find purpose and meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I think what began to drive me is I saw how well the kids did, how enormously helpful this program was. It was just an idea in the beginning. It seemed like a good idea, and I was sort of fumbling through it. But I saw kids grow so much, and it became such a passion for me. In those early years, that was almost all, my kids had all gone to college by then. So in those early years, it was almost all I cared about. I worked really, really hard. And I think what drove me was I would do anything to get money. And so as hard as it was, I realized that this program wasn't just going to be a summer trip or a summer experience. I guess another really hard time was those first 14 kids when they came home. I was so happy for them and so excited about it, but they all began to pull back, and they all seemed to get withdrawn, and I would say even depressed. And it began like, well, wait a minute, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. And I think it was pretty naive because they came home with so much triumph, but back to the same limited environments, back to the same challenges. And so I began to realize that just one intervention, one step wasn't helpful, and maybe even sometimes hurtful. So summer search began to change dramatically. It became 2 trips, one in the sophomore year, one in the junior year, ongoing mentoring, help with college. For the first 5 years, I did it alone, and by the time I hired 2 people, there were over 100 kids in the program. So I worked incredibly hard in those days. When the first 2 hires, there was another inflection point, but also incredibly lucky, were Catherine Kennedy and Jay Jacobs. And Catherine is still with the program today. And as you know, Jay was an outstanding individual. They were both quite young. And he developed Summer Search into a national program. He started the Boston office. You were one of his early students. And I can't imagine where Summer Search would be without those 2 people.
You know, there's more to that interview. Yeah, more. And you can find all of it at purposerockstar.com. Link is right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, right there. So it's really, really awesome that you can go to purposerockstar.com. If you're one of those on-the-go Apple people, you can check it out on iTunes. There's the link. And for my non-Apple people, I'm going to make sure there's a link on Stitcher somewhere next to me. So you got iTunes, Stitcher, and purposerockstar.com. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're on Twitter and Facebook, and somehow we'll be on LinkedIn. I don't know. But at least we'll be on Twitter and Facebook. And one final favor. Pursue your purpose. It needs you.
We were married for 45 years, and he eventually developed Alzheimer's disease and was sick for about 12 years and died 2 years ago.